What's up, you guys? Let's talk about death spells and death spell symptoms. Okay, as all of you know, or most of you, if you've seen the past few readings, I suppose, there was an instance that I found myself in, or situation rather. There was a dude who was posting my videos for quite some time now. Actually, I think it's been maybe about a year. I don't know. It's been quite some time, anyways. I never really checked on it, but I just kind of looked at one, and he was trying to conjure a death spell. Okay, so this just happened recently. I've cut the cord already. I cleansed myself. Thank you all for your prayers of protection too. That was so helpful. The cleansing was not fun at all. Usually, well, I can talk about that like after. So basically, well, what I basically did was, I prayed. Cleaned a little bit of my house. I took a Epsom salt bath, among other things. But I did some energy work beforehand. I threw up. And then I took an Epsom salt bath, cleared, washed my hair, my head, my whole body, cleansed myself, cleaned the house, and rearranged some things. Anyways, so that's one of several ways that you can cleanse something like that, okay? There are a lot of different ways that you can do that. It would probably be like an hour, like 2-hour video. I swear because there's so many different ways that this could go, but let's talk a little bit about the symptoms of a death spell, and then also some things that like we can do about these things. All right, so death spells generally are influenced by archon energy, the archon energy matrix. Okay, so it's really just somebody's intention that aligns with that archon energy matrix that then would compel them to conjure or do something like that. All right. So, generally speaking, I can identify death spells by like monitoring spirits, by conjuring the light to talk to God, and then or by conjuring the light to get to God to talk to the monitoring spirits to find the source. Now, the thing about conjuring the light to talk to God and to talk to them and to have that conversation, that's essentially like having... Yeah, that requires fasting, that oftentimes requires being celibate, which I am. I've been for years, okay? So, so if you're not celibate, if you don't have time to fast, you might not even need to be celibate either. Like if you have a partner that you trust, and that the energy is, that you both are aligned and your frequency is high, I feel like it would actually be very easy to even just alchemize that energy. You could even honestly use we'll say like sex magic for lack of a better word, but don't try that, you guys, unless if you know like what you're doing, you want to make sure that all of your chakras are whatever. Anyways, okay, so the other way to do something though is to ask God to expose the source, okay, which generally can take you on a little bit of a longer journey. I mean, that might take for like to conjure the light and to talk to God, I don't know, sometimes that can take like a week to a month, depending on, you know, if you're celibate and how discerning and careful you are with your energy. All right. Or asking God to expose that. Well, I guess that for me, generally speaking, that usually I would imagine takes a little bit longer. Okay. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I guess it really just depends on the situation, but generally speaking, God then will put you on a journey and align you with people that will show you or say things to kind of help you understand what is happening and then where what is coming from, okay? Where the energy is coming from, okay? And that's... You can take what resonates, but this is not my first rodeo, okay? So, and I am telling you, I have tried this many different times and they always work, and it always works. But, okay, so some symptoms could, in most cases in my experience, it usually starts with some sort of like clouded judgment. You might wake up having like nightmares. You might just feel like a little, and even if you wake up like having clouded judgment or something like that, it could also, it does not necessarily have to be a death spell, right? Okay. But that could also be, it could be many different things. It could be, seasonal depression, which sometimes, I'm not going to lie, the Archon energy does systematically make it so that they might align a sort of attack with somebody who has that. Anyways, neither here nor there. But clouded judgment, okay? The intention of this, generally speaking, and to my knowledge, is usually to create to make the Divine One make mistakes to lead to a lower frequency shift, okay? So, and the reason for doing this is for the Divine One to lose contact with their guides and God, so that they can't conjure the light, or so it's more difficult for them to conjure the light, to talk to God, or you know what I mean? Because I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say this because I'm seeing it visually now. Okay, it's when you are at a high frequency and have done your shadow work. Okay, when you're at a high frequency and have done your shadow work, you can stay at that high frequency, okay? When you're at a high frequency, though, all right? So if you're at high frequency, you haven't done all your shadow work, you might kind of go back and forth, right? Okay, I don't know. Maybe somebody needs to hear that, okay? But when you're, like, at a high frequency, it's like the light matches that of God, and so it is easier to speak to God, if that makes any sense, okay? So it's less staticky. Anyways, but that's just take what resonates, okay? So, but if you are an alchemist and if you are doing your shadow work and you're, you know what I mean, most of us are rising in and out of that higher to the lower, and I'm not saying like lower frequency, but the higher frequency, and then we kind of dip back down to do shadow work to continue to heal, to be able to ground in that higher frequency, right? More consistently, all right. So mistakes leading to a frequency shift, ultimately loss of contact with gods. These can be indicative of some sort of death spell symptoms. There's oftentimes a lot of like hopelessness. So the loss of contact with guides can create some sort of hopelessness, and then also it tries to create some sort of like codependent relationship. So that's when a lot of like karmic energies or non-players with like demonic attachments might come in and try to infiltrate your auric field then when you're in a very vulnerable place, okay? There might even be family, friends, pet relationships, or anything like that might even be, if they're not keeping their frequency high, or if they're not, or if you're not, helping to keep your pet's frequency high, we'll say, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, or if you have family who are like non-players, or if you know what I'm saying, like, this is also meant to make people feel very hopeless, but also, and there's another message that's coming through, that it can also make people feel codependent, so that then, and confused, okay, codependent, so that then they get back into like narcissistic circles and cycles and karmic cycles, okay? So this shit, in my experience, this shit is really what pisses God off, though, because I know we're all kind of on divine timing, but there are certain things that are being expedited because of different energy shifts that are happening. So it's the constant having to go into these cycles that kind of wastes the time, and kind of wastes time. Yeah. Not that time is, right. Time is linear, right? Energy is not linear, but it can, there are benchmarks, oftentimes, depends on who you are, but there are benchmarks that need to be made. Okay, so moving forward. But yes, okay, so how do we get ourselves out of these things? Well, smudging, saging, if you have, the tools, or, consistent, like meditation. And if you don't know how to meditate too, you can even, like read and meditate with the Bible. Like I'll do that sometimes, where I'll just open up, you know, my Bible and have my little highlighter, and I'll just, you know, like whatever resonates with me. I don't know, I have a highlighter sometimes, but like, you know, just read the Bible. You can even just, if you don't want to highlight anything, just open up the Bible at any random page or something like that and just read it. You can even sleep with your Bible. I do that sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. Got my little rosaries right here too, so you know what I mean. Whatever makes you feel safe though, okay? That's just what I do. But rebuke the energy. I rebuke the energy. I return to sender. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I mean, like, say this shit all the time. Like, all the time. Especially when you're cleansing it out, okay? Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, yeah, with regards to cleansing, okay, what else did I write? Some notes. Ow. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways to work through it, but but usually it does require one to kind of like keep going, even if it's slow. It's like, for instance, like okay, this is if, how do I say this? This is if there is a certain project that this karmic energy is trying to stop you from doing, and you have identified what that is, okay? If there is a karmic energy, if you've had a conversation with God and the monitoring spirits, the demons, monitoring spirits, let's be fucking honest with what they are, okay? Little grade, whatever, they, you know what I mean, they're little students of, right, okay? All right, so usually it requires one to kind of keep going on with whatever project that they are working on, okay? Because that breaks the frequency, that breaks you out of that frequency, okay? So once you've gotten to that point, and or yes, okay, so but what I'm hearing is slow and to stay grounded and high frequency and in the light. So if you know that you're being attacked like this, it's probably not the best time to do any sort of healing. It sucks because as collective light workers, chosen ones, divine ones, we're healing the collective. So that's why a lot of these attacks also happen when the collective is having, you know, frequency shifts, and light workers and alchemizers and stuff like that, then those dickheads come in and they try to fuck around. Okay, so sorry, I swore. I'm trying not to swear so much, but you guys, it's what it is. Okay. Okay, another problem, or another troubleshooting, we'll call it, okay, is, and something that you need to look out for, and why discernment is so important, is that oftentimes, if you have figured out the culprit, and if you have figured out what they are trying to stop you from doing, there is this fight that is needed, okay? And it's not like I said, it can be slow and staying grounded in high frequency and in the light, but also make sure that you are being very discerning with whom you are sharing your energy with. Like, for instance, during this time, you do not want to share any of your energy with the ops, okay? Because what I have noticed that can also happen is that when I go into this fighting, and it's not even like a fighting, for me, usually it's like a steady, like one foot in front of the other kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it's like a marching, more so. Like, I get into a very practical mindset, like a very disciplined, but I mean, it is practical, but you have to be very practical, and you have to then be very routine and disciplined to kind of get yourself out of it, okay? That's just in my experience, and you have to be very discerning, because what I'm going to say now is that there may be, what I have experienced is karmics trying to mirror that fighting, like love bombing, and then mirroring that fighting that I'm doing internally to something that they're trying to accomplish, okay? And what they're trying to do, and what I've noticed they try to do, is to siphon energy, my energy that I'm using for me and my livelihood and myself. They try to siphon that into fighting for something that they want, right? So boundaries are so important. Discernment is so important. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave this right here. I just felt like this was a good opportunity to be able to share and I guess use this as a teachable experience. And hopefully this doesn't happen anymore. If you guys could just do me a huge favor and just continue praying for me and for my cats and for my household, and that would be really, really great. I did a huge cleansing on Sunday and yesterday, and like I said, I threw up. It was intense, but I think that it's helping a lot, and now myself, I'm just kind of really starting to get grounded back in after receiving a lot of downloads for myself. So I would just appreciate it. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope that this helps. If you're new here too, thank you for being here. And if you like the video, please remember to like the video. And if you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe. Okay, until next time. Bye, guys.